Good morning. Thanks for joining me at Cuddles and Milk and Petaluma. I am starting a new series today. We just finished the whole breastfeeding journey series, which went from kind of the end of pregnancy all the way through even breastfeeding tandem and then weaning. So now that we're kind of done with that basic breastfeeding journey, we're going to do something else. So right now I'm going to start a series called Is It Normal? So I get a lot of questions from new parents. It's a very difficult time, right? There's a lot to learn, and sometimes you might have a baby surrounded by family and friends with lots of people to help you kind of understand and figure out what to do. And then other times you might be doing this in a pandemic all alone with no one to help you. And the hospital might have even canceled all classes or moved them to this online format that just doesn't really give you any interactive. So it's not uncommon for me to get a ton of questions from parents. So today we're going to start with one of the most basic. Is it normal for a newborn to feed all the time? Okay. So first of all, I'm going to start with defining newborn. We're going to start with 0 to 3 months. Okay. So we're just going to focus on that first period of life, the first 3 months. Okay. So starting there, is it normal for a newborn to feed all the time? 0 to 3 month old. Well, let's define all the time. So we might eat, some people eat 3 times a day. Some people even do the whole small snacking meals and might eat 6 times a day. So what's all the time for a newborn? So when we ask, when a breastfeeding specialist or a pediatrician asks how feeding is going, we'll ask, is the baby feeding 8 to 12 times a day? That's a pretty normal range. But it's also not uncommon for me to hear, especially in the first week or two, oh, he's feeding 15, 20 times a day. Especially as I talk more to a mom, I might hear that baby's feeding for 10 minutes and falls asleep for 20 or 30 and then feeds again. And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm doing 30 feeds a day. And it's like, well, that's because that was one feed, right? So one of the things we can do is try to get baby to feed a little bit longer. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's go back to those patterns. So it is normal for a newborn to feed very frequently. Breast milk is very easily digestible. It goes through our gut nice and easy and fast. Okay, it's also normal for them to be gassy, but they do digest their food rather quickly. Okay, and they do eat rather small amounts. So it is absolutely normal for a newborn to eat sometimes every hour and a half. Okay, now they might have periods where they're eating every hour and then go that 3 hours, but it's also not uncommon for them to be regular babies where they're like every hour and a half to 2.5 hours, right? And they're eating 12 times a day, 14 times a day. That's not uncommon. Okay, as long as everything is going okay otherwise, so baby's maintaining or gaining some weight, peeing and pooping well, mom's supply is fine, those are all very normal things. Okay, so as far as the feeds go, though, that breaking it up in the middle and letting baby fall asleep for 20 or 30 minutes and then having another quote unquote feed after, what that is basically one longer feed, right? Baby has started to eat, fallen asleep, kind of much like Thanksgiving dinner with some tryptophan for you or something, and then woken up and gone, oh, I'm still hungry. So that's not uncommon either. Babies do that regularly. So what you can do in that case is wake the baby up when they finish that first side, change the diaper, get them undressed, play with them for a minute, really wake them up, put them on the second side, get more of a feed out of that baby instead of just little snackies. Okay, that's something that can help too, right? But I also want to talk about something else that's really important to remember. Newborns have this really amazing things. They have these called primitive reflexes. So primitive reflexes are built into the brain. They're an automatic thing. Baby's obviously not thinking about it and saying, hey, I should do this sucking thing. It's just an automatic, right? So that is what helps baby survive, right? Primitive reflexes are there basically from primitive times for survival. So why do we have a suck reflex, right? You might think, I don't know that that's super helpful. I mean, I don't walk around with a lollipop in my mouth, but babies need to suck. if you think back to very primitive times, a baby that didn't want to breastfeed a lot, right? Didn't want to eat was just going to die, right? A baby that wanted to suck all the time was going to live, right? Plus, a baby that didn't suck a lot might also cry more. And when we're talking back, thousands and millions of years ago with hunters and gatherers and all of this, a baby that cried all the time was not going to be easy to take care of and sometimes might not make it. So a baby that would feed all the time would be much easier to take care of because they're happier. So it is our basic biology is for humans to wear our newborn and to feed sometimes 20 or 30 times a day, sometimes those tiny little snacky feeds. That's our biology. Now, I'm not saying that that is what you should do now. That obviously doesn't work as well for everyone. But understanding where baby comes from is really important, okay? And I will also say, especially in the first month and very, very important in the first 2 weeks, if baby is willing to suck on something, like a pacifier or a finger, they're probably willing to suck on the breast, okay? And that suck reflex is not only there to keep baby quiet so that they would survive, but to get mom's milk supply in so that they would survive. So we really need to put that baby on the breast as often as they're willing to go, right? That is what's going to help baby survive. Getting that milk supply in is essential to their survival, okay? So I'm going to do a little recap here. Let's see. Is it normal for a newborn to feed all the time? Well, first of all, we define newborn as 0 to 3, and all the time, it's probably about 12 feeds a day, right? 8 to 12 minimum, sometimes 12 to 15. We talked about those normal patterns where babies have to eat regularly because of their quick digestive system, okay? Talked about trying to get full feeds, trying to create, getting baby to nurse on both sides instead of just one side, because then it feels like you're breaking them up into lots of tiny feeds. And then that very, very important suck reflex, which does go away in a few months, right? That's not there forever, but so crucial to survival, so crucial to getting mom's milk supply in. If baby is willing to suck, put that baby on the breast unless you're in the car, mom's in the shower, or having a short, very much needed nap. Otherwise, get that baby on the breast. The more milk they get in, the more rest mom will get in a few weeks because baby will be better fed, easier to feed. Mom won't be worrying about their weight, and the feeds will just be faster and smoother. So, is it normal? Is a really common thing I hear from new parents. Okay? I would love to hear what you're wondering. So, if you have something that you're wondering, is it normal that a newborn is gassy all the time? Is it normal if a newborn doesn't sleep all night? Is it normal that my baby doesn't roll over yet? All of these things. Okay? Send me a message. I'm here on Facebook at Cuddles and Milk Petaluma. I'm at Instagram at Cuddles and Milk Petaluma. Or you can find me online at www.cuddlesandmilk.com. I would love to hear the questions that you have so that I can start answering them for you. Okay? Hope you have a wonderful week and that you had a great holiday. And thanks for joining me at Cuddles and Milk Petaluma. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.